I want to show you what I've done on our property to give us a bulletproof, 4-foot thick, almost fireproof privacy wall that's about 5 foot tall. So I've done multiple different types of privacy fences. I've done chain link fence with a privacy screen. On this property, we have chain link fences with a bunch of grapevines growing on them, which is awesome. We get tons of grapes. And in this foresty area, I decided to try something totally new. I wanted to have some firewood on hand for emergencies if we need some fuel to keep us warm or to cook or whatever. And so what I did is I ordered approximately, I want to guesstimate, it's probably about $1,000 worth of firewood that's behind me. And then I picked up about 20 IBC cages for about $25 to $35 each. I had the firewood delivered here, and then I stacked them in these cages, and take a look what it looks like. So this wall is about 100 foot long. So you can see there's about 20 or so IBC cages full of a bunch of oak firewood. Now this costed me in total about $1,000, maybe a little bit more than $1,000. But let me tell you some of the perks of having a privacy fence like this. So number one, it's pretty tall. It's about 5 foot tall of solid privacy. And you could stack even another foot or two on top of this if you wanted. But if you think about another perk to it, is this has some solid mass. So not only does a wall made of firewood like this act as privacy, but it can also be a traffic barrier to prevent, cars from driving off the road and smashing into your home potentially. It also, I haven't tested this yet, but I'm pretty sure that this would be fairly bullet resistant. So a few reasons I absolutely love having this privacy fence made out of firewood cages is one, it acts as a barrier between us and our neighbor's cattle. An obvious benefit of having a fence out of wood is that we've got a ton of backup fuel. So if we're ever cold in the winter, we've got a bunch of fuel we can burn. And while this wood does decompose gradually over time, I estimate that this oak wood would probably still be pretty burnable and usable even after multiple years. I also think it's cool that this wall, though these are flammable, I don't think that these would catch on fire in a field fire. So if you have a flash field fire coming from your neighbors or on your house heading towards your neighbors, I think that this 4 foot, 5 foot tall wall would act as a fire break. It's 4 foot thick. We've got sand at its base that's non-flammable. So I don't think fire would jump property boundaries having this in between it. Now, depending on how you orient your wood, this may or may not be bulletproof. I personally think that by and large, this would be fairly bulletproof. I mean, you've got 4 foot thick of oak logs stacked any which way. I have a hard time imagining many bullets going through multiple feet of oak wood. Also, because of its solid mass, this can act a little bit as a windbreak potentially and a sound barrier to some extent. So IBC cages are very durable. Obviously, it kind of depends on the cage you get and the conditions it's in, but as long as it's not super rusted on the bottom, I'd say that these cages would last for probably, at least a decade or two. You can see I weigh about 200 pounds and I can put all of my weight on a single rung. So these IBC cages are extremely durable. At the bottom of the cage, they actually have this little, these feet that are sometimes plastic, sometimes metal, and those feet lift the entire cage up off the ground by about maybe 4 or 5 inches. And you can't see it because it's covered with wood, but the platform this is sitting on has multiple holes that allow liquid to drain out of it so water doesn't pool at the bottom for very long after a heavy rainstorm. You might be wondering why I put sand at the base of this firewood. This was for a couple reasons. Mostly it was just to keep the grass at bay. I really like using river sand for mulching. I have done it on around a ton of fruit trees, even around these trees right here. It just makes it really easy to not have to weed whack around things and to keep it looking nice and clean. I also like how the sand is kind of a bit of a fire barrier. It's not combustible. And if there's ever weeds that poke through, all you got to do is take a little weed hoe and just give it a quick shake and it can knock loose the weeds. I know that having a big wall of firewood probably isn't the perfect solution for everybody, but if you have enough land to do firewood, I think it's worth considering, especially given the cultural, climate of wars and crazy things happening in the world. It really doesn't cost maybe a whole lot more money than it would cost to put in, an expensive 6-foot tall PVC fence. This would probably last longer. It's not going to blow away in a hurricane. It also gives you the added benefit that you can burn it and it can provide heat for you during the winter. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was interesting. If it was, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.